have enough of a dip, like maybe 7-8 inches, and and they're at a 30-degree angle, so when the water comes down the road, it washes off to the side. So, and there's some ideal spots where the highway guys have done some trenching so that, to try to run the water off, but this is a scientific method of doing that rather
Road
than.
work 101, the road can't be the lowest spot going, you know, that's why the water runs there, cause it's a ditch.
Mhm.
Need to grade everything back in,
Yeah,
and re-level the road, and then work on it. Just putting those in is not gonna do it. Well, it's gonna be a waste of money, that's all it's gonna be.
Still gonna wash out.
Oh, that's very
Yeah.
cool.
That's a new thing though, all the roads, Wolf Pond Road, they're really, I don't know if you've been up there, but the Wolf Pond Road, they have brought in, I don't know how many tons of fill, but they're finally doing it right. They're building the road higher than the rest of the year, so the water's not on the road, but.
well, they had done some grading on that one last fall, but,
If you need to bring it in, everybody grades out, and then, which even makes it worse, you got ridges on the outside that even keeps the water in the road more. They don't grade it in, they need to grade in.
Yep.
If Bill Sullivan was here, he's rolling over in his grave watching it.
well, they have the equipment that, she talked about doing, so she basically took a survey of the condition of the whole road, and, if they come back and say, well, if you do this, then we'll do
A
this,
lot of
but,
people use it, that's for sure.
It's heavily traveled.
All year round.
and,
Winter's probably more so. There's a lot of people out there in the winter.
they have started hauling sand, as those of you who are in that path know. Let's see, so they're doing 4 days a week from our sand pile and doing 1 day a week from the other, for right now. Grant proposal for dam repair, so you've got, I kind of gave you some information in my email I sent you. Basically, DEC just released that they have some grant money available for a lot of things involving water quality, and one of those is repairing a dam for a Class B or C dam. And we know that we have a lot of concrete work that needs to be done on our dam. So if we want to, even though I swore I was not going to deal with another grant, this is one that we need to fix the
Really,
dam.
yeah,
And
it's a no-brainer.
so I talked to Liz to see if Liz Tedford, to see if she would be willing to apply for the grant for us. She's really good at getting these water grants for some reason. So she did send me a contract. She said to bring it up to the board. If the board is willing to hire her to do this, then she'd be more than happy to start on it. So.
Is there a deadline for the grants gotta be in by?
Yeah, July, it's gotta be in by, did I write it down? No, but it's mid-July,
Okay.
that's gotta be in.
So you just need a motion to allow Liz to be the
Yeah,
grant writer for this,
yeah, you see her
for
contract
this,
there, $100 an hour, not to exceed 4,000, and of course, if we get the grant, that money also can apply toward her.
help pay for her salary.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and make that motion that we approve a contract to hire on Liz Tedford as a grant writer to help us with the Class C dam and repairs. The hourly rate is $100 and not to exceed $4,000.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Roll call, Jim,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Joey,
Yep.
Deb.
Yes. Okay. Insurance renewal, just to let you know, I'm working with them. They are much harder to work with than our previous insurer. Saving us money, but next week, I did several questionnaires and paperwork for them already, and now they're coming out next Thursday to look at all the buildings and do all of that, which they did all that last year, but we're doing it again, so. just to let you know that.
They must have took pictures last year, right?
Yeah,
Things change.
so, this guy, I don't know if it's different rules that the state's putting on them because they're a municipal or whatever, but they have to come out and look at every building that is, appraised at $100,000 or more. Well, there isn't a building that we have that isn't, you know, I mean, they don't have to look at the beach, but, you know, this building and up in Lime Mountain, the wastewater treatment plants, the water tower, all of those. So I'll be hauling them around next Thursday. I'll give them a good ride up to the water tower. So we're getting the parks ready for summer use in between rainstorms. The porta potties are there. If you notice along the salt shed, we've got 7 tons of rubber mulch that are gonna go down at the playgrounds. We've got 2 more up in Lime Mountain, 1 over at Emma King Park, and the other 4 will go at the beach. So that the highway guys will do that in the next week. And yeah, just get stuff ready. People, please be, somebody mowed the pump house area,
The ghost mower.
and whatever. I mean, guys went there to mow it and it was already mowed, so if they can't wait until, you know, the grass gets more than 5 to 6 inches high, then, but
You think that they can spray that again at the beach, for that grass that's coming through that like crazy?
you know, they sprayed it and it really didn't help. And they think it's like the kids that run on there, you know, they got grass on their feet and it's growing there, so we're just gonna smother it with,
I pulled up a bunch of it last year.
yeah, it's, you know, and the mats are there. I mean, we moved it to see if maybe the fabric we put down got moved or whatnot, but it didn't.
Seeds
It's,
coming
the
from
stuff's
the side.
on top of it,
Yeah.
so.
It's weird that they
Yeah,
grow the
one
grass.
spot,
and
just
not
that one
rubber.
area is like really bad, and
Yeah.
to the left, it's like, holy
It-
crap.
Must have been a favorite spot for the geese before the playground was there,
Yeah.
because, yeah, the grass really grows well in that, right near the swings. It's bad, but we'll just, oh well, a little bit of nature coming through that rubber mulch won't hurt them. Yeah, okay. Anyone have any other new business?
I got one thing that I'd like to address. We talk about the salt all the time, and this is like bothering me. Like every time I go to Danamora, like they use that pressure treated salt, blue salt. I see they got white salt there now, but I don't know if anybody else has noticed. But if you go over Danamora Mountain, like besides the roads,
Oh, yeah.
all the pine trees are dead.
Mm-hmm,
Like I worked there for 13 years, and I've never seen anything like that.
Yep.
And now that truck goes all the way to Katyville, and you start seeing it down in that way too. I mean, up past the house, up this way. It's crazy. I don't know, like, if we should do a study on this stuff again, like, with the wells or whatever. I mean,
well, that's, yeah,
contacted somebody about it and say, listen, I mean, I was hoping, I knew that presentation earlier, I didn't know if somebody was gonna be here from, that, and I was gonna bring it up, just because
Well,
it's crazy, because how much is going in the lake, I mean,
we have the salt reduction task force, which I went to, and, I went to it last year and the year before, and they sit there and they say, oh, you towns need to do this, you towns need to do that, and I got up and said, it's not the towns, it's your state trucks who are running pure salt. They don't mix it with anything to make it stay on the roads, and it just bounces off to the side.
I don't
It's
know.
just like watching them spray along the guardrails. You see the truck go by, and there's got an herbicide one guy's hanging out of the truck and spraying as they're driving slowly up the road, and it's, whether.
I just didn't know, like, if there was, I mean, it's supposed to be a treated salt here, and obviously, I don't know if they can't get any more, and I see there's regular white salt there now, but I don't know if that treated salt had something in it that, I mean, I never see it look like that this year, and I'm like, holy crap.
Just the amount. they
That's
put
crazy.
down.
Everything's brown.
Well,
Yeah, but they salt and they plow it off, then they
Just
salt again.
Just in the last month, we've seen how many salt trucks go to the state barn. I mean, they,
4 more.
like 2-3 trucks a day
Yeah.
filling up their salt shed,
4 every morning.
like in the last month. It's ridiculous, and you tell them that, and it's like,
I know
never
before,
money.
before I left there in 2015, they did like reduce it back and they changed all the settings in the machines where they could only put a certain amount down, but I just didn't know like this salt that they were using was supposed to be special, like it killed everything.
Well,
It's still not, especially on pine trees, I'm like,
I know, I read this, I read in Billy Jones's weekly thing he puts out that he is starting a salt study on, about that, but, I'll see him on Monday, so.
So I just had one,
If the town starts a subcommittee, I'd be happy to work with you. And there's also an agency, or a group in, I think it's Elizabethtown, is it Adirondack? Something, it's something, a very simple name. And they've been very successful down around Keysville and Lake Placid, like the, 86, the Whiteface is on. I mean, they've done all sorts of studies and they don't, that road is always pristine, but they use different methods now because the river's right there. So there's things happening nearby, it's just
Well, if you
a lot
talk
of hoops.
to the older generation of plow drivers who used to do, the town used to do 374. And they never put anything down in front of the lake because the wind would just blow it off the roads. And as soon as you put down your first layer of salt or anything, now it catches and it stays. And, you know, our guys do that when they go down like DeBray Road where the wind blows so hard. If they don't put anything down, it blows off the road. As soon as you have to put something down, now you've got a problem because it all sticks, so.
that's what we used to, when I was there, that's what we used to do at the dam, we shut it off, because it was just a waste of material for one, and like you say, once you get it wet, it makes it stick more.
Yeah.
So I thought salt
Saints
was,
plowing 20 hours a day too, then they plow,
Yeah.
plow, and they salt.
the road will actually dry out, and it just blows right across the road, but you put salt down, makes it wet, and then it just keeps blowing
Well,
up.
you know, it's 20 below zero when you go over Dannemore Mountain and it's wet. I mean, there's something wrong with that picture. So, yeah, it's
yeah, problem,
something that we need to.
yeah.
It
I
looks
got
horrible.
one thing, I was, the town was nice enough to send me to a Adirondack Forum on May 7th and 8th. It was a whole day event, it was an educational forum, I went to a lot of different classes, understanding what's up and coming in the Adirondacks. I can tell you that the comprehensive plan is alive and well in a lot of towns. A lot of towns are now looking at comprehensive plans. Some are in our boat that have never even had one, and forever they've been in existence. One of the hot bullet points was the recent assessments. It was a large crowd that vented their frustrations against the assessments. And one town I actually sat next to, they have 3 assessors and 2 quit because they couldn't take the stress of the tenants or the residents just on them steady. So that was a hot topic. I got to listen to an individual. The name of the company is Ausable something, but they are experts in like any kind of flood zone, any river that has a flood zone. They are experts in going in and doing an analysis and actually putting in place different debris, taking out corners where the waters flow freely and not against a barrier. And they showed us pictures, videotapes of before and after of how, like, Valsable River is one of them, is how they changed the overall angle of the water flow, stopped the flooding of the roads. It was quite interesting to watch. Another hot topic that came up at that forum is the amount of non-participation that's happening with different towns partnering with other towns, and you know, they're going out on their own and they're trying to do their own thing, and when they got a town right next to them's already done it, been there, done that, and they're just not soliciting those hey, I can help you do this. When the girl that sat next to me found out we're in our infancy stages of putting a comprehensive plan in, she took my name and number and said, listen, any help we can get to somebody else that has it, that's great. So I said, well, talk to Mike Delusky, he's better at it than me. Just kidding. But But the comprehensive plan anyway, just while we're on that subject a little bit, is that, Becky was kind enough to assist us. We have to put a grant in place, and, the person from, Chesterfield, Matt Prescott, is it Matt? Andy thank you. Andy Prescott, said, listen, here's our grant proposal, just cross out Chesterfield, just put in our information, and it's gonna go through. We won't know if he got the grant until October, so we actually gotta get that done. I have a copy of it at home, and I thought he said he sent it to me in email, but I don't have an email version. All I have is the printed off version of what took place. But there's a lot of tension in the North Country around things that are going on. You know, you think we have issues with camps that are so-called grandfathered with putting their septic into the lake. We're not alone. There's a lot of townships that are on that old 1950s, 1960s. Camps are built. They got a 55-gallon drum sitting in the middle of their property, and it's overflowing, or it's plugged, and the overflow is running into the lake, and it's just a lot of stuff going on. And you know, they talked about the grant that New York State has. They actually they'll pay for half of a septic system being put in, up to $10,000. But there was some chatter about, you know, it's my private property, I'm grandfather, I'm not putting no septic system in, so I don't know what's going to come of that in the future.
So I have a question about the comprehensive plan. I was at a workshop today up in Lake Placid because the consolidated funding application has come out, and that is a source for funneling all these different grants, and including climate smart communities where they will, you know, underwrite for the comprehensive plan preparation. Minimum $75,000. But you can get a grant for a good share of that. The deadline is July 31st. So
Okay.
I don't know, I think that we might need, we should get a grant writer to write our grant and get it in.
So we have to be approved for the grant first. We got way ahead of ourselves in all our meetings and everything, we really got ahead of ourselves. So we have to put this application in.
Yes.
And that's step one.
Yes.
So now that we backed ourselves all up, we were doing all kinds of stuff, we backed ourselves up. We need to have this in by July, and then, once we're approved, then we start. So Chesterfield is on four plus years, and they will be finalizing in July. About 4 years, 8 months.
So I think when I recall we had the presentation, it could be done in a much shorter time. If, a year and a half. But the first step is to get,
We need to get approved for the grant first. before-
first is to get in a grant proposal by this deadline of the 31st.
Well, that's what Joe was just talking about.
But I don't think, honestly, I don't think that, there's something that doesn't sound quite right about just working off somebody else's grant application.
It's a cookie cutter form, it's on the computer. I mean, it wouldn't be exactly, but pretty much change a few things, change some dates, probably change the amount of money. It's pretty much a cookie cutter form. He said they took I forgot where Andy told us, they took a form from someone else.
Somebody
and did
else's
the very
township.
same thing. He said they just want.
It's just a
they
global
really-
application online.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah,
it
it's
is. It's no different than anything that we do for anything in this place. It's all online. To get a username, you have to get a password, you have to log in, and all the questions, you can print out your application after with all your answers, and that's what they sent him. We're just being prepared for the questions before we get on the computer and do this, because you have a timeline to finish the application online as well. So all he's gonna show us is a piece of paper, okay, so we know that the first question is gonna be this. We're not gonna answer it like Chesterfield, we're gonna answer it like the way we wanted to answer it. That's all it is. It's just a basis. That's
It's just
all.
a guide.
It's a guide.
Mary's more or less just a guide
Not
for us to
using
get us on the right
exactly.
path for this.
So you don't think you think that this can just be done in-house?
For the
No, I think
application,
this
you
can be
have-
done in-house. This
Application.
this first step can be done in-house. And then from there, I can tell you, I was at our engineering firm, MG Engineering was also at that symposium. and I got to talk to Jackie Hakes at length about when do they think they need to engage with us. And the first thing out of her mouth is, get this grant thing started.
The
First.
We'll
application.
hear, if we get it in by July, we'll hear by October.
November.
Late October, early November.
Okay.
Yeah, the only other thing I wanna bring up in this meeting is that one of the townships brought up salt reduction. And I'll tell you, they did one hell of a, not at this time we're willing to answer that question, basically.
Say that again?
So one of the townships brought up, what are we gonna do with all the salt that you're putting on the roads? And I'm sitting there, okay, this is wonderful, we're gonna have a nice chat about this. And they basically said, I'm not at disclosure to talk about this subject at this time.
Oh.
Who said that?
The presenter. It wasn't a presenter on salt, it was part of, cause they had an open session about anything else in your mind that you have concerns about. Well, this township got around the salt reduction, the salt you're putting in the roads, ridiculous, going in our ponds, our lakes, our streams. And boy, he was quick to the tongue, said that this time not willing to discuss that
That
topic.
was DEC?
APA.
APA.
So isn't there supposed to be this salt reduction task force that was started up a couple years ago with Billy Jones's involvement?
Yeah, I went to a couple of those where they do an annual thing in June or July, and in Lake Placid, and I went to the meeting, and that's the one where, you know, you have 20 different APA types sitting in a semicircle, and you know, they're giving, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and the towns need to do this, we need to tell the towns to stop doing this, or whatever, and that's when I stood up and said, it's not the towns, it's the state, it's you guys, because they had, among the APA, they also had a bunch of DOT people who were, we're doing our part, we're doing our part. Well, yeah, you're doing your part to pollute, because you're the ones that are putting down pure salt. You're putting down something that, you're not mixing it with anything that will keep it on the roads, so you're not doing us any favors. It's just bouncing off. You follow one of those trucks and I mean, the salt is just bouncing all over. So, yeah, they have a lot of work to do.
Is that coming up again this year?
I haven't gotten any indication of when they're gonna have it. They're not having it in June and July for some reason, but,
So I got some great videos of this truck going by, just 10 minutes, the truck's going by, and 10 minutes later, the truck's going right behind it, plowing and putting more salt down. So I got some videos, and I got 374 all the way from, all the way into Chateauguay where the road is that color, white. So, we really need to start hammering them harder.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like a fun conference.
There's a lot of pissed off townships, I'll tell you.
Okay, committee reports, you guys have, the code enforcement and dog control officer reports to read at your leisure. Okay, let me see what I got here. Shared services, so I got an email today from Kim Kinblom from the county. The state approved us, our half, because shared services, whoever you share with, even though your savings was a lot bigger than theirs was, they split it 50-50. So, the state approved for us to get $62,480 back for our shared services with the village for EMS. So I need to go tomorrow and sign the documentation, and then we'll see a check at some point for that, so.
Good.
Compliance came and did their inspection, and there are no workers' compensation loss control recommendations to report, so congratulations on your efforts. So that was that. We got our final payment from the county for snow and ice removal on the county roads for $33,109. I haven't gotten a date yet from Carl Weiss on when he's gonna meet with us, the supervisors who think that they need to pay us more because with the cost of everything, they're just not paying us enough to pay for what we do on the county roads. A lot of the times this winter when the men went out, it was to do the county roads. Standish Road, Shazy Lake Road, General Leroy Manor. And those are the ones that needed the attention. And so a lot of times we went out basically to do the county roads. So I've got 3 binders full of sheets from the men that they filled out, how many times they went out. They had calculations from the county, how much amount of material gets put down per mile. And so we have all of those figures. And I checked with a couple other towns to see if they kept their records, and we're ready to meet with Carl. And they didn't do as good a job as our guys did. Some of them,
Kudos to them.
you don't know, but so these guys did a good job. They had forms that we had done up, and they put down how many times they had to go. And I could in fact, they had a water leak over there in January, and it ruined some of their paperwork that they had on the paper on their table. And because we have the GPS on our vehicles, I was able to go back into January and see, how many hours they were out and where they went. And I mean, whenever they went out, they were on county roads because it's
Good.
all in between our roads. So
Good.
we were able to fill in the blanks, and we can, if someone says, "Oh, you didn't go out that often," I can show them on our GPS that, yep, they did. This is how many times they went out on a day. So I already talked about pickleball court. We also got our portion of the mortgage tax distribution for the period of October through March. $12,777.07 that we get from the county.
Is that going to general fund?
That goes in general fund, yeah. And equalization, I pulled out, because I didn't understand the equalization rate. I got all this documentation from real property about that, the assessments went up because it had to be 100% equalization rate and what it was all about. And I read it, and I still don't see the advantage to our town on doing all that, but if anyone's interested, I do have information on equalization. Basically, we have every town in the county is at 100%, with the exception of Schuyler Falls, which I don't understand. They're at 72%. So apparently their assessor didn't follow the guidance that was given out. But every other town in this county is at 100%, which means that the municipality is assessing property at 100% of its market value. And that's what the equalization is. So reading through this, I really didn't understand what benefit we had. It establishes tax and debt limits. It determines the level of star exemptions. It gives us the apportionment of sales tax revenue. So I guess in the long run, it probably gives the town and its residents some benefits, but if you're one of the 20 ones that got a 23% increase, it's hard to swallow. So, but I have all of that information here if anyone really wants to read it. And that's it for me. Jim?
No, nothing else.
Jason?
Just got an investment meeting coming up.
That's the 10th?
10th.
June 10th.
That was EMS?
Mm-hmm.
I just see on these short-term rental permits, we've only got one.
Oh, no, we've had a lot more.
How many do we have?
We were up to 5 or 6. I did 4 of them in January.
Yeah.
Well, I processed them, at least 4 of them in January. We've done, I think, 2 sets, so maybe 6, maybe.
So there's no enforcement, these people just have to come forward?
Yeah.
Maybe they can say
But-
people on Wilfred King and so.
But with anything else, you're gonna have the people saying, hey, these people have rent out, do they have a permit?
That was the other hot topic at that forum was short-term rentals.
Oh, it's a big issue.
It's across all townships.
In the property maintenance, I got a lot of complaints in the last couple of weeks from my ground people that there was a whole bunch of notices issued, but nothing seems to be getting moved. And I don't know.
Well, if
I've not really
nothing,
been up to
he
look.
gave them all warnings, he gave them all letters, so
Right.
if he doesn't see any improvement, then it's ticket time.
Does he give a window of time to
I was
take
gonna
care
say,
of
what
stuff?
kind of time frame is there?
I'm not I think he gave, well, there was an issue with the window because he put the letters in the mailbox and,
He dated them the 23rd or something. He mailed them out 7 days later, and then in the letter it said 10 days. So everybody thought, is it from the 23rd, from the date of the letter, or the date that they actually got it in their hand or postmarked? So, yeah.
yeah, so we had calls about that, but,
You may have to be doing it again with more clarification.
yeah, so he's aware of that issue, so, I'll ask him when I go out if he's following
Good.
up. That it?
Yep.
Anything else? Any questions from one more thing, I'm sorry about that. We did get our goose nuisance permit, where we can shoot geese at the beach when nobody else is there, obviously. The guys go first thing in the morning, when they get here, they'll go over there, they've gotten 2 geese, and it seems
The
to have.
highway department guys?
Mhm.
And what are you having goose for lunch?
No, they dispose of them.
They compost.
Yeah, so, and there's very specific rules, obviously the whole, you can't shoot them on the water, you can't, but they have to use a shotgun, and, what's that?
Steel shot.
So, yeah, so we, in the past, other people around the lake have been on the permit, and they were supposed to be keeping geese off the beach, but they were keeping geese off their own property, sending them over to the beach, basically. So, we only have the highway guys, doing it, and, because none of them have property on the lake, so they're not gonna wanna sit there in their own property and kill geese. So, anyway, we keep track of it, we have to track when they were shot, how many they shot, their method of taking the geese. I mean, it's a DEC permit that, again, this year it's the first time you had to do it all online. Last year it was, and the year before it was all paper, and now you can only do it online, and they send you back whether you got approved. Like, it came back in like 20
I
minutes.
guess you're keeping track of all the kills and where you're shooting.
Yeah, we have to track all that, so.
Each Campbell does a full field down there, they just give them a permit.
Interesting.
Well,
We
in
just got back.
by September 15th, I have to send back,
That's agriculture too, maybe that's.
maybe that's different, yeah. So,
Groceries in.
yeah, that's the rest of it, sorry.
Good.
Any questions, anyone? All right, thank you very much for coming and putting up with the heat in this room.
Have a good night. Not too bad.
I'll call for an adjournment, yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right, let me shut this.